Despite the nerf to the Dragon Riders and Skywagon, Mass Dragon Riders is still the only air attack strategy you'll ever use. So let's break this army down to improve your 3-star success no matter your tunnel level. Firstly, we want to focus on each hero's best equipment. Starting with the Dragon Duke, I recommend using his Electro Fangs and Fireheart combo. With this combo, you're using the Dragon Duke charge, which enables your Duke to not only create pathing for your Dragon Riders, but also clear out value such as the Fire Spitters or even a whole rage compartment. In addition to having the Fireheart, you'll be able to pair the Dragon Duke with revive spells to keep fighting with the Electro Fangs equipped. However, if you're using a Royal Champion charge instead, I recommend using the Fireheart and Stun Blaster to help keep him alive by stunning defenses and take them out. As for the Royal Champion, you'll have access to the Rocket Spear and Seeking Shield, which allows you to snipe down defenses from a distance while setting up decent pathing for the Dragon Riders. This is most effective when using a Dragon Duke charge to set up funneling on one side, and this enables you to clear plenty of defenses before she goes down. However, you can also use the Electro Boots and Haste Vial if you prefer to use a Royal Champion charge to set up proper funneling. With the Grand Warden, I recommend the Eternal Tome and Healing Tome as it offers the best protection for the Dragon Riders with the invulnerability to damage along with strong healing to keep everything alive. Finally, with the Minion Prince, you'll often want his Dark Orb and Meteor Staff as they allow you to do passive damage to plenty of defenses while moving between buildings while also supporting them via a slow on defenses. This overall adds to the support and damage for your Dragon Riders. However, if you lack any epics for him, the Dark Orb and Henchman Puppets are just as good for him. But it's also just as good to use Code Corrupt to support me and the channel. To start this attack off, we first need to use a hero charge, whether it's the Royal Champion charge or Dragon Duke charge. If you lack the Electro Fangs, using the Royal Champion takes priority, as you're using invisibility spells every 10 seconds to interweave the invisibility effect from both the Spirit Fox and the invisibility spell. However, if you're near the Monolith, CC, or Guardian, I recommend double cycling your invisibility spells to keep your Royal Champion alive. Additionally, you have the Haste Vial that can speed up the charge and get additional value before you run out of invisibility spells. However, if you do have the Electro Fangs, using your Dragon Duke along with the Spirit Fox can set up great funneling if you can control the Dragon Duke into the base. However, you'll still be interweaving the invisibility effect between the spell and the Fox with an invisibility spell every 10 seconds. Since he's using double passive abilities, his active ability will just heal him, making it possible to extend the value even after all invisibility spells have been used. Now, the other side of your funnel often depends on the hero charge used. If you're using a Royal Champion charge, the Dragon Duke and Angry Jelly tends to be the best, with it allowing the Duke to clear defenses, making for better pathing for the Dragon Riders while also stunning defenses in the process with the Stun Blaster. However, if you're using a Dragon Duke charge, using the Royal Champion and her Rocket Spears allows you to clear plenty of value from a safe distance away, and if she does fall, she can get some additional value before she truly goes down with the Phoenix Revive. This overall lets you create proper pathing no matter the hero for your Dragon Riders. However, consider subscribing as we only have 11% of people who are actually subscribed, and any support goes a long way. This finally gets us to the Dragon Rider portion, where using an Ice Hound can not only tank traps and damage for them, but it also freezes defenses in their place, allowing for the Dragon Riders, Inferno Dragons, Grand Warden, and Minion Prince to move in themselves. This enables you to often use the Eternal Tome and Healing Tome to protect your troops as they dive into the core of the base, and you can use your Minion Prince's Dark Orb to slow down defenses past the core of the base in order to allow your Dragon Riders a safer path around. As for the spells you're often using with this army, I always recommend using tome spells sparingly to prevent too much damage on your troops to keep a majority of your forces alive. Additionally, if you decide on bringing a free spell, it can be good against multiple defenses or on splash damage defenses like the air bombs and multi-target infernos. You also have the rage spell that can speed up and power up the Dragon Riders while they are dealing with defenses. You can also use an overgrowth spell to control the path pathing of your Dragon Riders, while also minimizing a lot of the damage as you move through the core of the base. Finally is the Revive spell that can be used mainly with the Dragon Duke thanks to his Fireheart, so he can basically come back to life and start dealing damage. But if the Dragon Duke doesn't fall in the attack, you can always use it on the Minion Prince to provide additional support with the Meteor Staff and obviously his own attacks. With the basics covered, here's the army comp I recommend you use between Town Hall 16 and Town Hall 18. This should enable you to pick up and play these armies even if you have just 1 or 2 epics for the correct heroes. However, let's break down a full example to help you 3-star no matter what. To kick things off, we want to first start with the Dragon Duke charge, especially in this case as we have the Electrofangs. We can control him by using different angles of buildings, but then that way we're able to use our invisibility spells every 10 seconds in order to keep him and the Spirit Fox invisible. Otherwise, we can double cycle if need be, but the Electrofangs offering great chip damage, especially when your Dragon Duke is targeting high DP or high HP buildings. Otherwise, once the Dragon Duke has kind of done his charge, and even if he stays alive, he'll be able to get additional value. We're going to be using the Royal Champion over on the other side. The goal here is we need to make sure that we're using the Rocket Spear and Seeking Shield to cut off the area, maybe even snipe down an air defense. This allows us to send in the Dragon Riders with the Ice Hound, Inferno Dragons, the Minion Prince, the Grand Warden, and the Sky Wagon as we work in. We have a few Inferno Dragons to control the rest of them into the base, and as we work in, we want to use tome spells sparingly in order to make sure that we're able to get the Dragon Riders in. You can use an Overgrowth spell in order to control pathing of your Dragon Riders, and having the Dark Orb and the Eternal Tome and Healing Tome allows you to not only have a ton of survivability as you work through the rest of the core of the base, but it just allows you to have a lot more power. You also have a Rage spell that you can use with the Dragon Riders to improve their damage and speed them up through the entire rest of the base. And even if the Dragon Duke goes down, you obviously have a very strong spell in the Revive with him, as this will allow you to then get him right back into the fray, and since he has double passives, he's able to just consistently get value with the Electrofangs. Otherwise, with the Dragon Riders and the Inferno Dragons, you're just able to get so much value and get so much of the base down like it's nothing. With how strong Dragon Riders are still, this army is the only air army you'll ever need, despite the multiple nerfs to parts of this army. If you want to see what other troops are the best and worst to use, check out my troop tier list here, but YouTube says you may prefer this one instead.